Okay, so what you should have by now is your Photoshop document that has 3 layers, a minimum of 3 layers. So if you hide them all and then unhide them all one at a time, you'll see where we're at. Background, layer 1, or layer 2, layer 1. So what I'm going to do here is, if it's not already, Mom, why did I say that? Lady and gentleman. Gentleman, right? Okay, so background, gentleman, lady, and background. Okay, so now I should have already saved it as file, save as 3D photo with clone. Save, sure, I'll replace it. Okay, now I'm going to close out of this Photoshop, do not need it anymore. I am now in my After Effects project. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and create a new project. So I am now in my window. Now if yours looks different, or if you screwed up the windows and like this goes over here and this goes over here and it just doesn't look right like you're used to it, you can always go to Window, Workspace, Reset Default to save layout, and it brings everything back to the original layout. Okay, so now that I'm here, I'm in After Effects. Okay, so very similar to Premiere, we have all of our drop-down menu options up here. Okay, you're going to have your effects panel. This is going to be your composition, where you view everything from the timeline. Okay, so everything that's down here, you're going to preview up here into the composition preview panel. Okay, so what I'm going to do right off the bat, though, I need to get my PSD file in. The reason we saved it as a PSD is because we need to retain those layers, because now in After Effects we're going to have those layers that we can now animate individually. Okay, so File, Import File. I'm going to go look for my 3D photo with clone.psd. I'm going to go ahead and import. Now this is important here. You've got to make sure these settings are selected. We are going to make it as a composition. Okay, the composition means it's going to be like the project we're working on. We're going to retain those layer sizes. Editable layer styles. Okay, so we're going to make sure that they're editable layer styles. We do not want to merge them into one clip. Okay, so we're going to go here, okay. Okay, so now when I import, you can see here I have the actual composition, and then I have all of my layers. Okay, so all you need to do is double click on the composition and it brings them up here. Okay, yours, when you do it for the first time, it's going to bring it up as one view. It's my active camera. This is just like your regular canvas, like you would see in Premiere or Photoshop. Okay, so what I want to do right off the bat is I want to go to two views horizontal, left and right. So this is going to be my front facing, and then over here I want to make sure it's the top view. You're going to say, well, it doesn't look any different right now. So that's when we go down here. I've got background, lady and gentleman, the layer names transferred over. I'm going to make them 3D. Okay, instantly once you make them 3D, it brings them onto a Z axis. It brings them onto a different plane. So you can see here I'm looking at it from the top view. Okay, do not worry about all of these other things right now. All we do need to worry about is that we're making them 3D. Okay, now what we want to do is give some depth to our image over here. So I'm just gonna, there's two ways you can do this. You can drop this down here and go to position, and you can kind of move it back and forth this way. Okay, and sometimes you're going to say, Mr. Clark, I drag this over, but my mouse is like going off the table and it's barely moving. If you hold down shift while you drag, it makes it go a lot faster. Okay, so what you need to do is understand this concept. Here's the rest of my layers. If I bring my background layer, okay, I can also drag it from this view, okay, from up here. See, that's the Z, that is the X, and that is the Y. So Z is going to be along this this depth view. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to see what happens, how my people over here disappear when I bring them to the forefront. Do you understand why that's happening? Yes? Because I'm bringing them in front. And if I'm looking at the view, this background now is blocking the man and the woman, okay, or the lady and the gentleman, okay. But what I want to do is to give this some depth. I want to bring it all the way like back here, okay. So I went all the way into the background. Now, do you see this black? We don't want any black, so I can take the scale right down here and I can increase it. Plenty of space outside of our canvas area because I'm going to turn it and I need to have some wiggle room here. So drop this up. Now I'm going to go to my lady, and now I can bring my lady like anywhere I want. I can like bring her out here to give her some depth, and then I'm going to go to my gentleman and I'm going to just move him maybe up like this. Okay, what do you think? Like do maybe something like this, and then do the lady maybe up here a little bit. Okay, now how do we make this turn? Well, we have to actually add a camera. Layer, new. I want to add a new layer, camera. Don't worry about all of these things right now, okay? I'm just going to click OK. Now, what this camera does, if I just take my mouse scrolly wheel and I scroll out, you can see the entire camera. I can move the camera like however I want here or whatever, but I don't want to do that. Control Z to go back. I'm going to actually go to transform, and I'm going to take the position, and all you got to worry about is this one right here, the 640, and I'm going to move it back and forth. Now, do you remember when I showed you guys when I turned this, we had some black right here? See how we had to get rid of that black by cloning it? Does it make more sense now? So now when I turn it, can you see the depth effect? Now if I hold down shift, I can turn it a lot more. So you can really see it if I do this. Does that make sense, people? Are you getting a better look at it? Yeah? One of you? Two of you? Raise your hand real quick if you got it. All right. Okay, so now this is where we're going to come in with these, what they're called keyframes, just like we did inside Premiere. Okay? So we can, keyframes you can use across, you can use in Photoshop, Premiere, and After Effects. Okay? So that is represented by, if you just highlight or roll over it, you're going to see it's the stopwatch. Okay? So whatever transition I want to use, or whatever rotation or position I'm using, I want to turn that stopwatch on at the beginning, where the current time indicator is at the beginning of my video. Okay, so I'm going to, while it's selected there, I'm going to hold down shift, click this, and I'm going to get it to a position where I want. I don't want to go way over here. I want to get it right to the edge as close as I can before I see black. It automatically creates a keyframe here. Now I don't want to have this go all the way to like 60 seconds. Okay, so remember in Premiere we have milliseconds, we have seconds, we have minutes, and we have hours, right? So I'm going to go down here, let's just go to like 12 seconds. And I can even type this in to be more exact. Okay, so right here this is 12 seconds. I am then going to bring this work area way over here to the right side. I'm going to click and drag it right to 12 seconds. Once I'm there, I can actually right click, click right on the gray and blue, right click, and I'm going to trim my composition to this work area. Okay, so I just got rid of all this other stuff over here, and now it's exactly at 12 seconds. If I go to the very end, well, it's 11:26. That's good enough for this. Okay, so right here I started my position. It's at 4:09. I can actually click end on the keyboard if I want, and that brings the time indicator all the way to the end. I can actually click home, and it brings it back. You can see how home and end do that. Or you can just drag the time indicator at the end. If you click end or home, you know it will bring it to the very first frame or the very last frame though. Okay, so now here I'm going to hold down shift again, and I'm going to actually turn it the other way so I can get that effect. So I don't want to go here, I want to go as very end that I possibly can. It automatically makes a keyframe for you. So now when I'm there, I can just click on the space bar and you can now see that it moves. And that is it, people. That is it. It doesn't stop there. How do you turn this in? You can see by default it is an AEP. That means it's an After Effects project. I need to render this out as an H.264 or as, which is also an MP4. Okay. Now, one thing with the new After Effects, you cannot just go File, Export Media. Okay. Again, I need to make sure I'm selected and down in the timeline. File, Export Media. You can't do that. You have to now go File, Export, Add to Media Encoder. Okay. So you have to take into another program entirely, excuse me, in order to find that H.264. Don't give up. It is actually loading in the background. There it pops up. Wait till this opens. Okay, now that it's going to load up right here into your queue. So if you're doing a bunch of different projects at the same time, you can actually load them all up here and just add them to the render queue. So if you're in the industry, this is what you'd probably do, and you'd be working on several things at one time. Okay, automatically it should go right here, okay, to an H.264. Do not touch this preset right here. Okay, now output file. This is just like in Photoshop, Premiere, whatever. You have to tell it where to send, okay, where to save it, and what do you want to save it as. Just click on the blue link. You're of course going to go to desktop 3D photo folder, and then you're going to label it like I said, last name dot first name dot what, 3D photo. See how it's automatically an MP4? You're going to click save, and you're going to click the green button, start queue, and you're going to just render it out. This is going to think for a second, and then it's going to render it, and then you will be able to find the MP4 inside desktop 3D photo, and it's going to show up in here. These two images right here are going to convert to an MP4 with your last name dot first name dot 3D photo, and you will turn that in. And wait till it's done. We'll go back and check it, and it should be as an MP4. There it is. Looks like it's already done. Does that make sense, people? Sound good? Close out of all that, and you're good to go. The end. Enjoy.